Alright, this is the board for Yggdrasil. I must say, before we go any further, I really like the look of this board. It does look a little busy the first time you see it, and it does seem like everything kind of fits in a weird spot, if you will. But you have to remember that you're never really placing, you're playing a god, but you don't have a figure for your god or anything like that. You're not placing him on the board or anything like that. Each one of these locations is actually just one of the actions that you can take, and I'm going to show you all those in a little bit. One of the coolest things about the game is actually the fact that I really like this little Valkyrie token. The Valkyries, as you may or may not know, are the female warriors that spirit the souls of the warriors slain in battle, and they take their souls to Valhalla, so they may fight once again for the gods. And thematically, these Valkyries fly to these islands here and collect Viking souls for the gods to use. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself real quick there. So let's just kind of dive into how you play. For starters, for each game, each person gets a god. Thor, Frey, Odin, several different gods. You can divvy these up however you like. You can have people pick, you can do it randomly. I like the game enough that I actually did go ahead and get the Frigg god from BGG for $5, which, in actuality I kind of like it because it just allows me to play with one more person now. But regardless, after each person gets the god that they wish to use, then you figure out who's going to go first, and then you begin the game. The game consists of, the first thing that every person does on their turn is they draw one of these cards. And these cards will tell you which god will move forward on this track that's here. So we drew this, and we drew Nidhogg, and Nidhogg, his special power is that once he moves forward, he kind of drags the other evil gods along with him. And whatever god's in last place gets to move forward as well. So in the case of Nidhogg, you would move Nidhogg's token forward one like that, and then since all the rest are in last place, as you see there, the player then gets to pick one of those gods and gets to move one forward. So let's just say that player decides, after discussing with the other players, they'll take Hel and move her up one. Now, it's important to note when Nidhogg does actually drag them along, the special ability of the god that gets dragged along does not actually happen. Now, after that is done, the player then gets to choose what to do with the 3 actions that they have available to them. I'm just going to show you those actions really quickly. They can go up here and they can collect one of these night elves. Night elves can be used in combat. They can go here to Vanir, and they can move Vanir up his little track of options that he has available to him. Or if he's at one of these locations, you can enact that location and use it, in which case then if he is used, he goes back to the beginning. Vanir, it's kind of weird. Vanir gets used a lot in multiplayer games. With the more people you have and the more actions people have, people will kind of propel him further up this track, because these abilities that he has, allowing him to basically replicate the actions that are over here, really come in handy when these places have been taken away from you and you don't have access to them. And so he kind of can save the day. You can choose to fight one of the evil gods that is located on this track here. As the gods move further and further along this track, that's how you lose the game. You'll notice that there is a 5 here, a 3 here, and a 1 here. If there are ever, at the end of a god's turn, 5 gods that are beyond the 5, you lose the game. If there's ever a spot where there's 3 gods beyond this spot, you lose the game. Or if there's ever 1 god beyond this is basically Odin's house or Odin's hut. And if there's ever 1 god here at the end of a god's turn, you lose the game. And so that is how basically if you want to fight them, if you defeat them, you push them back one spot on the track. To defeat them, you have to beat their combat value. You'll notice that there are also some numbers here, these little shield. There's a 5, a 6, a 7, and an 8, and that is the strength of the god at that point that you have to use to defeat them. Combat is really simple. You have this die that you roll that has, like you see, there's 3, a 2, a 1, and a blank. And so you roll this die, you take that, you add it to any other modifiers that you may have, such as Vikings fighting for you, add 1 to your roll, or after the fact you can add 1 with your Night Elves as well. And then if you equal the strength, or greater than, you push the god back. Yeah, that's where you fight. Over here, you can see that this is the Frost Giant deck. Frost Giants, as Loki here, as he moves across, he will draw Frost Giants out. And Frost Giants will have certain powers. Say like this Frost Giant here, you can see he has a +1 and Loki, meaning he gives Loki a +1 to his combat ability. So you take Loki's token and turn him over for that +1, and so he becomes more powerful. In order to take that away, you have to kill this Frost Giant. To kill the Frost Giants, they have a strength of 3 unless they're modified by something else, but you can fight them. If there's no Frost Giants turned over to fight, you can always just fight the Frost Giants on the top of the deck. And you can destroy them, and once they're destroyed, they're just discarded off to the side. Frost Giants actually do have this little symbol on the bottom that is a part of a rune. If you ever collect all 4 of the runes, you can turn in the dead Frost Giants for special powers, and those can be very, very powerful and can be very helpful as needed. You can go to the dwarves if you wish. The dwarves will forge a weapon for you. They have several different weapons that are good against certain creatures. Like this Gungnir, the spear, is good against Midhogg. This ring is good against Hel. This chain is good against Fenrir. And you'll notice there's like a +3, there's +2s, and +1s. You have to have the dwarves forge you a +1 weapon first, and after you take the +1 weapon, then you can go to the dwarves again later, and you can, trade in your +1 for a +2, and then trade in the +2 for a +3. That's an action, obviously. It should be noted that you can't normally go to the same spot more than once during your turn. One god does have that ability that they can go to the same spot twice, but normally you can't use the same spot. So you couldn't just go here for all 3 of your actions. Here's my +1 sword, here's my +2 sword, here's my +3 sword. You don't have that as available to you. Okay, the Valkyries. The Valkyries start on this side of the bridge, and when you use them as an action, you can move them one spot, if you so choose, to one of these islands. Now you're saying, well, why am I going to these islands? Well, that's where these bags come in. So if you move this Valkyrie to the bag, you would take this bag, and you'll notice on the inside, you can see there's some tokens in there, both fire giants and some Vikings. And you'd reach in and you draw 3 of these tokens, and you see here I got 2 Vikings and a fire giant. Well, I take the fire giant and I put him back in to the bag, but now I have these 2 Viking tokens that I can use, and each one counts as +1 in combat. And so you might be wondering, well, what difference does it make as far as which island I go to? Well, as you go further over to the right, the islands get better and better. And there's more Vikings in them than fire giants. And so chances of you drawing more Vikings is greater as you further you go over towards this side. Now you might be wondering what this token is. This is just the island is sunk, and it starts off this island here is sunk to start with, and so you just can't do it. However, the reason it is sunk is because Jormungand, the great serpent, can sink one of these islands. And when Jormungand moves, if you draw a card for that the great serpent, you roll a die and you move this sunken to which color, like in this case green, and you'd move that to the green island. And now the green island is sunk and you can't get any Vikings from that. When that happens, no matter where the Valkyries are, they return to the Rainbow Bridge, and they must once again, slowly but surely, be moved over towards the island you wish. So sometimes it's good because they open the really good Black Island where there's lots of Vikings, but it takes you some time to get the Valkyries over there. Now down here we have the pit of fire where the fire giants are, and over here we have Vikings. Once again, in this location, you can collect these Vikings and you can place them into one of these bags of your choice. So you can add more Vikings to these so that you have a greater chance of drawing them for your combats. And here, what you do is you take one of these bags, and so you choose like the blue bag, and you reach in and you draw. And if you draw any fire giants, you take those and you take them out of the bag and return the Vikings. So you can kind of, slowly but surely, you can weed out and make a bag very, very powerful by adding Vikings to it or by taking fire giants out, making it so the next time that you draw from that bag, there's a greater chance that you will be able to draw those very, very important Vikings that help you fight your combats. You know, and slowly but surely, like you go through each and every turn, and you draw these cards, and you slowly but surely, you know, move these gods forward, and they get fought back, and so on and so forth. To win the game, what you have to do is you have to get through this entire deck of cards. Now you might be thinking, well, that's a lot of cards. Well, I threw every card into this deck, but it is completely variable for when you play the game. You can make this game as difficult or as easy as you want it by going through the cards and choosing and picking what you want to deal with when you're playing the game. So if you want something nice and easy, you can play something nice and easy. If you want something just to beat you down, you can play something that'll just beat you down. There's even cards in the deck that actually are more powerful than normal cards. If you'll notice on this card, you'll see Nidhogg, and you'll see that there is this little arrow that just one little dash there. But like take this Loki card, you'll notice that there are 2 dashes off to the side. That means he would move twice. And there's these cards, these Ragnarok cards, and you can see there's several guards listed on there, and all of them would move forward all at once. And so if you add these cards, obviously the game's going to be more difficult if those cards are ones that you're dealing with. And that's how you play the game. You draw a card, the situation becomes more difficult, you take your actions, and then the player goes on to the next player. You know, you take your card, play gets difficult, you so on and so forth. And it's all about mitigating the disaster as it happens. There's tons of things that are bad that can happen. Certain frost giants you draw will close off portions of the world that you won't be able to use. Like, you know, they'll shut off the night elves, you know, and you just can't get any more night elves until you're able to defeat that frost giant. You can have situations where certain frost giants will cause this island to actually turn over and flick and be the sunken water whirlpool. And when it's like that, your Valkyrie can no longer pass by that spot. They are trapped. So if you have a situation where you have the whirlpool right there and your Valkyries are stuck on the Rainbow Bridge, you can't ever get over there. And that's where spots like up here with Vanir, which allow the Valkyries to actually move when you normally couldn't, are actually really, really helpful. And you know, it's a game that, unless you actually do very well in taking care of the problems as they happen, it will beat you down slowly but surely and methodically. And it can at times seem like it's completely and totally hopeless and you just don't think you're going to be able to win. But that's when you actually pull off the victory, and when you actually succeed, that it makes the game that much more exciting and a much more satisfying gaming experience. All right. Well, that should give you a pretty good idea of how you play the game. Now let me tell you exactly what I think of Yggdrasil.